Listen closely, because this isn't just a story about a cafe, it's a glimpse into the hidden layers of the world you navigate every single day. Imagine the metropolitan oasis, right in the pulsating heart of Atlanta. It's more than just a coffee shop, it's a gleaming monument to aspiration, a place where fortunes are made and reputations are polished. Sunlight streams through panoramic windows, glinting off crystal chandeliers, illuminating crisp white tablecloths and the soft clink of designer cutlery. The air itself smells of rich espresso, warm pastries, and the faint, expensive scent of ambition. Here, deals worth millions are sealed with a handshake, and the city's elite, draped in bespoke suits and shimmering silk, glide between tables. Their conversations a low, confident hum. But beyond the polished glass, a different kind of life unfolds. And in this story, our hero isn't sipping lattes or signing contracts. Our hero is Jamal. You might have walked right past him 100 times without ever truly seeing him. He's one of the city's quiet sentinels, a phantom of the urban landscape. His oversized hoodie might make him seem small, his movements almost silent. But his eyes? They miss nothing. Jamal isn't just looking for opportunity, he's observing. He's learned to read the subtle shifts, the hidden anxieties, the silent languages of power and pretense. It's a skill honed by necessity, a superpower born from hardship. Think of him as the ultimate human CCTV camera, seeing beyond the expensive facades to the raw truths beneath. Just like those often overlooked in society, Jamal possesses a unique form of intelligence, street smarts, that allow him to perceive dangers and deceptions others are blind to. It's a powerful reminder that true insight often comes from unexpected places. And then there's Dr. Julian Vance, 68 years old, a titan in the medical field, a renowned neurosurgeon who built his vast empire not from inherited wealth, but from sheer grit and brilliance, starting right here in the South. He carries himself with the quiet confidence of someone who has not just shaped his own world, but perhaps the worlds of countless others. He's respected, admired, almost revered. Opposite him sits Serafina, his much younger wife. She looks like she stepped straight out of a magazine cover. Jet black hair, impossibly polished features, bright red lipstick, every inch of her screaming elegance. She's charming, attentive, and seemingly the picture of devotion. But Jamal, from his vantage point just beyond the patio fence, sees something else. He sees a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. He sees a subtle tension in her jaw, a faint flicker of something cold when Dr. Vance glances away. He notices the way she twirls a diamond bracelet on her wrist, her attention not entirely on her husband, but on her phone, or perhaps on something more sinister. Beneath the facade of idyllic normalcy, Jamal sensed a fragile tension, an unspoken undercurrent that hinted at a story far darker than the cafe's gleaming exterior suggested. The cafe buzzed with life, a symphony of polite chatter and clinking glasses. Dr. Vance, momentarily distracted, pulled out his phone, his attention shifting to an urgent message. It was a common, almost unconscious gesture, one that Serafina had likely calculated with chilling precision. This was her window. Jamal's stomach growled, a familiar ache. But his eyes were locked on their table. It was a meal he hadn't seen up close in months, a pristine white bowl of steaming soup, flanked by fresh bread and sparkling water. But then, the ordinary became extraordinary. Serafina's hand, adorned with that glittering diamond bracelet, slipped almost imperceptibly into her designer handbag. Jamal's breath caught. His mind, honed by years of hyper-awareness, processed the minuscule details, her fingers closing around a tiny vial, no bigger than a medication sample. A casual flick of her wrist, a subtle tilt of her hand, and a clear liquid, almost viscous, swirled into the rich broth. It dissolved instantly, vanishing like it had never been there. Yet Jamal swore he caught the faintest acrid scent, like bitter almonds, before it completely disappeared. It was a terrifying magic trick, performed with chilling composure. Then came the whisper, barely audible, a venomous hiss disguised as an intimate lean. "After all the trouble I've gone through, you won't ruin this now." The words were cold, devoid of warmth, dripping with a malicious intent that made Jamal's heart pound. It was the chilling disconnect between her elegant exterior and the sinister reality that sent a shiver through him. This wasn't just about money, this was about absolute control, about a deep-seated resentment boiling beneath a polished surface. It's a chilling reminder of how easily trust can be weaponized, how those closest to us can harbor the most destructive intentions. Think of the historical figures who met their end at the hands of seemingly loyal confidants. Betrayal often wears the most familiar face. Jamal's fists clenched, his nails digging into his palms. He was just a kid, homeless, invisible to most. Why get involved? Who would believe a street kid in a threadbare hoodie against a woman who screamed elegance? His mind raced, calculating the risks. Being dismissed as delusional, potentially getting arrested, putting himself in harm's way. Yet, a powerful moral imperative, born from a lifetime of witnessing injustice, began to drown out the fear. He pictured Dr. Vance, an unsuspecting elder, taking that fateful bite. He saw the potential consequences, the finality of it. The faint growl in his stomach pulled him back to reality, but his gaze remained fixed. He didn't know this man, but that didn't matter. Wrong was wrong. This was more than just a crime. It was a profound violation of trust, a desecration of the sacred bond between partners. His initial hesitation, born from years of invisibility, warred with a deeper, more primal urge, the undeniable call to protect an unsuspecting life. He thought of his own grandmother, who'd shared her last piece of bread with him on a freezing night, whispering, "Always do what's right, little one, even when it's hard." That simple act of kindness, that unwavering moral compass, became the tipping point. The moment stretched endlessly, and then, without thinking, Jamal pushed himself off the railing, his voice already forming the words that would shatter the facade of a perfect life. His legs felt like lead, but his feet didn't stop. He marched straight to the table, every step a defiant challenge to the invisible walls of class and indifference. His voice, usually a whisper, cracked, then exploded through the genteel hum of the cafe. "Don't eat that!" Heads snapped up, conversations died mid-sentence. The clatter of a dropped fork echoed through the sudden, suffocating silence, thick with disbelief and dawning horror. Dr. Vance froze, his spoon inches from his lips, his wide eyes locking onto Jamal. Serafina whipped her head around, her composure shattering like fragile glass. "What did you just say?" she demanded, her voice sharp enough to cut through the silence. But Jamal didn't falter. His voice was shaky, but loud enough for everyone to hear. He pointed directly at Serafina. "She put something in your food. I saw her. Don't eat it." Gasps rippled through the cafe. Every patron, their meals forgotten, turned toward the unfolding drama. Dr. Vance blinked, glancing between Jamal and his wife. "What is he talking about, Serafina?" he asked, his tone calm but his hand trembling. Serafina scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "You little liar," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. "How dare you accuse me of something so vile? Who even let you in here?" The words stung, meant to diminish and dismiss him. But Jamal didn't back down. "I saw her," he insisted, his voice steadying. "She poured something into your soup when you weren't looking. You can smell it if you don't believe me." Dr. Vance's face paled. He turned to Serafina, his eyes narrowing. "Serafina, what's going on?" She let out a harsh laugh, crossing her arms. "This is absurd," she snapped, her tone icy. "He's just some street kid looking for attention. Are you really going to entertain this nonsense, Julian?" But Dr. Vance didn't answer her. Instead, he picked up the spoon again, holding it closer to his face. His hand trembled slightly. Not from fear, but from the quiet storm brewing within him. "Serafina," he said slowly, his eyes meeting hers, "you've been acting strange for weeks now. This—" Her face flushed. She stumbled over her words. I don't know what you're talking about. You can't seriously think I'd poison you." Julian finished for her, his tone razor sharp. The crowd gasped audibly, their whispers growing louder. Jamal stood firm, his gaze unwavering. He could feel his heart pounding, but he wouldn't let it show. He'd done what he could. Now it was up to Dr. Vance to make the next move. Serafina straightened up, her expression hardening. "This is ridiculous. I don't have to sit here and listen to this nonsense," she said, grabbing her handbag. But before she could leave, Dr. Vance's hand shot out, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. "You're not going anywhere," he said firmly. "Not until we get to the bottom of this." The waiter, who had been frozen in place, finally spoke up. "Sir, should I call the police?" The question sent a ripple through the cafe, and for the first time, Serafina looked genuinely panicked. She shook her head violently. "Don't you dare! This is just a misunderstanding, Julian. You can't seriously—" But Dr. Vance raised his hand, silencing her. "Yes," he said, addressing the waiter without looking away from Serafina. "Call them." The sirens grew louder, and soon 2 police officers entered the cafe, their hands resting on their belts. "What's going on here?" one of them asked, his tone neutral but authoritative. Dr. Vance stood, his towering frame still commanding respect. Officers, I need you to take a look at this, he said, gesturing toward the bowl of soup. This boy claims my wife poisoned it. The officers exchanged glances. One leaned down, sniffing the bowl cautiously, then turned to Serafina. Ma'am, do you have anything to say about this? Her face turned crimson. This is ridiculous. He's just a street kid trying to make trouble. Julian, you're really going to let this nonsense go this far? But the officer wasn't buying her deflection. We'll need to test the contents, he said, reaching for the bowl. No, Serafina snapped, her voice rising. Her outburst drew even more attention, and her sudden panic only made her look guiltier. The officer paused, narrowing his eyes. Ma'am, is there something you'd like to tell us before we proceed? Serafina hesitated, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She looked at Dr. Vance, then at the officers, her hands trembling as she clutched her handbag. Finally, her resolve crumbled. Fine, she spat, her voice low but dripping with venom. You want the truth? I'm tired of living in his shadow, tired of his control over everything. He was never supposed to make it past this year, and She stopped abruptly, realizing too late that she'd said too much. The cafe erupted in gasps, some patrons pulling out their phones to record the scene. Dr. Vance's face went pale as the weight of her confession hit him like a truck. The officer stepped forward, his expression grim. Ma'am, I'm placing you under arrest for attempted murder. Please put your hands where I can see them. Serafina's composure shattered completely. She screamed, trying to wriggle free as they secured her hands behind her back. You don't understand. I deserved everything he had. Everything! She shouted as they led her away, her voice echoing through the stunned cafe. Dr. Vance sank back into his chair, his hand trembling as he pushed the soup away. His face, etched with the raw agony of betrayal, reflected the horrifying reality of his wife's treachery. The man who had faced down medical emergencies and cutthroat business deals was utterly broken by this intimate deception. It's a cruel truth that the most devastating wounds are often inflicted by those we trust the most. How easily can the sacred bond between partners be shattered, leaving behind nothing but a void of disbelief? The cafe slowly returned to a low hum of whispers and murmurs as the officers escorted Serafina out, her protests fading into the distance. Patrons exchanged wide-eyed glances, still reeling from what they had just witnessed. Some looked at Dr. Vance with pity, others with curious awe at the dramatic turn of events. But Jamal stood frozen, unsure of what to do next. Dr. Vance turned to the boy, his face still pale but his eyes now steady. Jamal, he said softly, gesturing to the seat across from him. Sit. Jamal hesitated, his guard up, a lifetime of disappointment making him wary of genuine kindness. Slowly he sank into the chair, his shoulders tense. You saved my life, Dr. Vance said, his voice low but firm. I don't know how I can ever repay you. Jamal fidgeted, his hands gripping the edge of the table. I couldn't let it happen, he said quietly. I couldn't just watch and say nothing. Dr. Vance nodded, his gaze distant for a moment, as if replaying the entire ordeal in his mind. Most people would have, he said after a pause. They would have turned the other way, pretended they didn't see, but you didn't. That took courage, boy. Jamal shrugged, his voice barely above a whisper. I guess I don't like seeing people get hurt. That's all. Dr. Vance picked up his glass of water, taking a long sip before speaking again. Sometimes life gives us the chance to change someone else's story, he said, his voice thoughtful. You changed mine today, Jamal, and maybe, just maybe, I can help change yours. He then reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black phone. After a brief call, his expression was calm, almost kind. Help is on the way, he said simply. Help? Jamal asked, his brow furrowing. Dr. Vance nodded. I called someone I trust. They'll make sure you have a place to sleep tonight, somewhere safe. And if you'll let me, I'd like to do more than that. The boy's eyes widened. You don't have to do that, he said quickly, his voice defensive. I didn't do this for money or anything. Dr. Vance smiled faintly. I know that. That's why I want to help. You did something most people wouldn't have. And trust me, Jamal, if the world had more people like you, it would be a much better place. For the first time in a long while, Jamal felt a warmth he couldn't quite describe. He looked down, unsure of what to say. Dr. Vance continued. I want to offer you a pathway to a new beginning. A safe home, support for your education or vocational training, and a genuine mentorship to help you unlock your potential. The boy glanced up at him, his dark eyes glistening with something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years: hope. The simple act of Dr. Vance extending his hand, a silent bridge built between two vastly different worlds, solidified the promise of a future Jamal had only dreamed of. As the two sat in silence, the sun continued its arc across the sky, casting long shadows across the cafe. The lesson wasn't lost on anyone who had witnessed the event. Jamal's single act of defiance, his brave shout, created a powerful ripple effect that went far beyond saving a life. It shattered illusions, it forced a moment of uncomfortable truth, prompting everyone in that cafe to look inward and challenge their own preconceived notions. This story isn't just about a poisoning, it's about the profound power of one individual to make a difference, regardless of their circumstances. How often do we walk past someone, dismiss them based on their appearance, and miss the wisdom or immense courage they might possess? Jamal's heroism wasn't a grand, planned gesture. It was an instinctive act of pure moral courage, a refusal to stand by and let wrong prevail. This story redefines heroism, not always found in grand gestures or powerful figures, but often in a single, unyielding voice of truth that pierces through indifference. It encourages us to recognize the heroes in our own lives, especially those who often go unseen or unacknowledged. Dr. Vance's response, too, offers a powerful lesson. His offer to Jamal wasn't merely charity. It was an act of profound compassion, a recognition of shared humanity. It wasn't about giving handouts, but about offering a hand up, empowering Jamal to rebuild his life and unleash his untapped potential. This is a crucial distinction. It's about seeing the dignity and worth in every individual, regardless of their current situation. And understanding that true help is about investing in someone's future, not just alleviating their present discomfort. For those of us who have felt overlooked, underestimated, or betrayed, Jamal's journey offers a powerful message of hope. It reminds us that even from the deepest shadows, light can emerge. Your past does not define your potential, nor do your circumstances dictate your character. For your voice, no matter how unheard it may feel, holds the power to shatter silence, expose injustice, and ignite transformative change. Imagine Jamal, days or weeks later, tucked into a warm bed, a textbook open beside him. The city's hum was now a distant lullaby, replaced by a quiet contentment he hadn't known in years. He'd found not just a home, but a purpose, a future forged in an act of unexpected bravery. In the end, Jamal's bravery didn't just save a life. It reminded everyone in that cafe, and now everyone listening to this story, of the profound power of standing up for what's right, no matter the odds. To testament to resilience, a beacon of hope, and a powerful call to action, open your eyes, challenge your biases, and remember that sometimes, the greatest strength comes from the most unexpected places. Jamal's journey reminds us that courage isn't bound by wealth or status. It reminds us that our voices, no matter how small they might feel, possess the power to shatter silence, expose injustice, and ignite transformative change. For those of us who have walked through adversity, who have known what it feels like to be underestimated, his story is a beacon of hope. Your past does not define your potential, and your circumstances do not dictate your character. In Jamal's unlikely heroism, we find a powerful testament to resilience, a call to empathy, and an affirmation that the greatest strength often comes from the most unexpected places. It's a story that urges us to open our eyes, challenge our biases, and remember that sometimes the most profound impact begins with a single, courageous act. If Jamal's journey resonated deep within you, if this story ignited a spark of hope or conviction, then don't let that feeling fade. Hit that like button to show your support, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another powerful story of courage, truth, and transformation. And please, share this video with someone in your community who needs a reminder that their strength is boundless and their voice matters. Let's keep these crucial conversations alive.